I didn't notice her at first. Not when I snapped the photo of the old cafe on the corner of 7th Street, nor when I reviewed it that evening while sipping stale coffee and listening to the faint hum of my heater. But she was there. A face, faint, blurred, half in shadow, staring directly into the lens. At first, I thought it was a trick of the light. Maybe a poster in the background or someone walking by at just the right time.
Ow.
But when I zoomed in there, was no mistaking it, the eyes were fixed on me. And yet, I hadn't seen her, not in real life, not even a glimpse. I remembered that moment clearly. The street had been empty. I was sure of it. My name is Harry. I'm not a professional photographer or anything. Just a guy with a secondhand camera, wandering the city during my off hours, capturing forgotten corners and decaying storefronts. It was a way to stay sane, to feel like I was preserving something before it disappeared, but I hadn't expected something or someone to be preserving me back. That night, I went back through the rest of my photos from the past week. Dozens of them, random shots. Train stations, alleyways, a rusted playground. And then I saw her again and again. Same woman, same blurred expression. Always in the background, sometimes behind a fogged window. Other times standing, just far enough that she looked like a shadow. Black hair, pale skin, eyes too wide. I felt a cold ripple down my back. How long had she been there? Was she following me? Was it even real? The next day I went to the police, showed them the photos. The officer on duty gave me a skeptical glance. He looked through the images, then shrugged. Could be a glitch. Ow. Or maybe someone messing with you. Deep fake filters, that kind of thing. You'd be surprised what AI can do these days. I left feeling more unsettled than before. I knew what I had seen and what I hadn't. This wasn't AI. This was something else. That night, I dreamed of static. A camera shutter, clicking, endlessly, and eyes, staring through the dark. And when I woke up, my phone was open to my gallery, and the latest picture, one I hadn't taken, showed me asleep, and her standing in the corner of the room watching me. I didn't sleep though. Rest of the night, I kept the lights on, pacing my apartment with the camera in my hand like it was a weapon. Every creak of the floorboards, every hum of the refrigerator made my skin crawl. But she never appeared again, at least not where I could see her. The photos still sat on my phone. Me, in bed, her, in the corner, motionless, shadowy, staring, but when I turned toward that very corner, it was empty. Nothing. No trace, no footprints, no explanation. I tried convincing myself I was losing it, that I'd taken the photo in my sleep, that it was some leftover paranoia from all the true crime I'd binged at night. But then, why didn't I remember hearing the shutter? Why didn't I remember waking up at all? By morning, the weight in my chest hadn't lifted. I went to work as usual, a gray cubicle, a flickering overhead light, the quiet clacking of keyboards and dying dreams. But I couldn't focus. Her face lingered behind every spreadsheet, every blinking cursor. So during my lunch break, I did something stupid. I went back to the cafe, where I first noticed her. The place was mostly empty, just a couple of students with laptops. A tired barista, the faint smell of burnt espresso. I sat at the same table, pulled out my camera, and waited for the first hour. Nothing happened. Then click. I didn't press anything. The camera shuttered on its own. I looked down at the preview screen. My hand shook. She was there, sitting at the table across from me, staring, wearing the same pale expression, same black dress. But when I looked up, empty chair, no one there. I stood up so fast I knocked over my coffee. The barista gave me a look. I barely registered it. I left fast that night. I tried deleting the photos. All of them, my gallery, my backups, my cloud, everything. But they wouldn't go away. Every time I deleted one, it would reappear moments later. Sometimes duplicated, sometimes even altered. I saw my own reflection in windows that weren't in the original shot. I saw the angle shift ever so slightly, as if someone else was holding the camera now. By midnight, I gave up. I turned off my phone. buried it under a pillow, and sat on the edge of my bed with the camera in my lap. Didn't know what I was waiting for, but at exactly 3:03 a.m., the shutter clicked by itself. And this time, I felt the breeze. Something had moved past me, and then I heard it. A whisper, so faint it was like breath. "Keep watching." I didn't sleep at all. That whisper, "keep watching," echoed in my ears long after the sound had faded. I sat motionless, afraid that if I moved, she'd come closer. That maybe she was already in the room, standing just outside my line of sight by morning. I felt hollow. The camera still sat on my lap. Quiet now, but somehow heavier, like it had absorbed something during the night. I didn't dare touch it again. Instead, I went for a walk. Fresh air, crowds, noise, anything to feel human again. I wandered aimlessly through the city, letting the sun burn through the fog in my head. I walked past familiar places, the bookstore. I never went inside the bus stop I always avoided. It's the church with the broken bell, and that's when I saw her in daylight, clear as crystal. She was standing at the end of the street, motionless, surrounded by people who didn't even glance her way. Everyone passed by her like she didn't exist, like she wasn't even there. But I saw her, and she was looking straight at me. I froze. My pulse thundered in my ears. We stared at each other, or at least I stared, and she just stayed, not blinking, not breathing, like a figure carved from ice. Then she turned and walked into an alley without thinking. I followed. The alley twisted sharply, narrow, damp, the kind. A place that felt like it had secrets baked into the walls. But when I turned the final corner, she was gone. Only an old door remained, painted black, half-rotted, marked with strange symbols that looked burned into the wood. I raised my camera, just out of habit. Click. When I reviewed the photo, my breath caught. She was there again, standing right behind me in the photo, closer than ever before, her hand reaching out. Her face, finally in full focus, was empty. Not sad, not angry, just void of everything. A blank, soulless mask. And then the screen flickered, clicked. For a moment, I saw something else. A different version of me, in the same alley, looking over his shoulder. And then, darkness. The camera shut off. When I looked up, the alley was suddenly darker too. Colder. The walls seemed to stretch higher than before, like the city itself was shrinking inward. That's when I realized I wasn't alone. Footsteps behind me, slow, wet, like someone walking barefoot through blood. I turned. No one, but the sound didn't stop. It was coming from all directions now. The walls whispered, "Keep watching, keep watching." And then the camera turned itself back on, and the lens twisted like it was focusing on me. I ran out of the alley, out of that part of town. I didn't care who was watching. I needed distance. I needed light. When I finally stopped, I was standing on the edge of the city park. The camera in my hand was warm, too warm, as if it had been awake longer than I had. I dropped it into my backpack and zipped it shut. I didn't want to see what it had captured this time. But curiosity is poison. By the time I reached my apartment, it had already crept into my blood. Pulled the camera out slowly, like I was disarming a bomb. My fingers hesitated over the power button. Screen flared to life. One new image it was. Static at first, grainy. Then it cleared. A photo of my back standing in the alley. But behind me, not just her. There were others, half-formed shadows. Faces warped like they'd been erased mid-scream, all staring at me. All fading in and out like ghosts caught between frames. She was in front, though closer than before. Her mouth opened slightly now, as if she was trying to say something, but there were no words in the photo. Okay, only silence. And then I noticed the cement. The photo had been taken at 3:03 a.m. Again, it was only 7:45 p.m. And yet, the camera insisted otherwise. It was telling time wrong. No. It was telling time ahead, predicting. My blood turned cold. I looked at the wall clock. I had less than 8 hours. I slammed the laptop shut, ripped the battery out of the camera, tossed both into the closet. Then I grabbed every blanket I had and covered the mirrors in my apartment. I didn't want to see her again. Not in glass, not in a screen, not anywhere. But when I turned to shut the blinds, my phone vibrated. A message. Unknown number. Did you delete the one from the mirror? I stared at the screen. My stomach twisted. I hadn't taken any mirror shots, had I? With trembling hands, I opened my phone's gallery. There it was, a photo of my bathroom mirror. I was brushing my teeth, and behind me in the reflection, she was standing in the shower, not hiding, just waiting, as if she knew I'd eventually. Looking in that moment, I understood something. She wasn't haunting the photos. She was using them to step closer. Every picture brought her nearer. Every shot pulled her through the frame. And now, she was almost here. The apartment felt colder now, not because of the weather. July had never been so humid, but because the air itself had shifted. Heavy. Still, like the quiet before a thunderclap that never comes. I didn't turn on any lights. I didn't touch the camera again. I just sat in my kitchen with my back to the hallway. Every light bulb unscrewed, every window locked, every screen covered with towels and duct tape. Still, I felt her clothes crawling through the static of memory, waiting for 3:03. I tried to sleep, but every time I shut my eyes, I saw flashes. The reflection in the mirror, the photo in the alley, her expressionless face just inches from mine. And worse, I saw myself, holding the camera, smiling, taking pictures of her, as if I wanted her to come. I jolted awake at 2:58 a.m., heart hammering. I reached for my phone, but it was dead. Not turned off, drained, fully like something had sucked the power out of it while I slept. I checked my wall clock 2:59. I stood up, walked to the closet, opened the door. The camera and laptop were still there. It's untouched. But something was off. The camera's lens was extended, as if it had been on recently. As if it had used itself. I backed away, heart thudding. The closet light flickered, and that's when I heard it. Not footsteps. Not a whisper. A shudder. Click. From inside my apartment, I froze. Then another click. Closer, and then breathing right behind me. I turned slowly. She was standing in the hallway. No blur now. Number. Glitch. No grain. She was real. Her skin looked unfinished, like wet clay with fingerprints still pressed in. Her eyes were wide, black, hungry, and in her hands. My camera. She raised it. Click. Flash. I couldn't move. Not out of fear, but because I couldn't feel my legs anymore. I looked down. My body was fading, becoming translucent, just like the others in the photo. No, I whispered. She tilted her head slightly, as if confused or curious. Then she stepped closer, and I could hear her breath for the first time. It didn't sound human. It sounded like wind through broken glass, like something tearing loose from the fabric of a photo. Click. She took another picture, and I felt my fingertips go numb. I staggered backward, or at least I thought I did. But my limbs didn't respond the same way anymore. My legs felt like they were moving underwater. My arms were fading, not vanishing, but losing their weight. The flash from the camera still burned in my vision. She stood in the movie, watching camera raised like a weapon of light. Another click, and suddenly the walls of my apartment weren't mine anymore. They rippled. Just slightly, like the whole room had become part of a photograph still developing. I blinked hard. The shadows shifted. The wallpaper looked older. The table had dust that hadn't been there seconds ago. Like the photo she took had changed my reality. Each image was pulling me somewhere else. Somewhere older, colder, empty. I screamed, louder than I ever had in my life, but no sound came out, only silence. deafening, heavy, pressed against. My ears like cotton soaked in static. She stepped closer. This time, I could hear her feet, but the sound was wrong. It wasn't the sound of someone walking on the floor. It was the sound of old negatives crinkling, of brittle film being bent. She reached for me. I tried to run. Truly I did. But my body didn't move right anymore. It was like my muscles were frozen in between frames, trapped in the space between. My hand grazed the edge of the kitchen counter, and for a moment, it felt real again. I grabbed the camera. The one she was using. She didn't stop me, didn't flinch, as if she wanted me to hold it. It was ECL'd. Heavier than it should have been, and as soon as my fingers curled around the grip, click a flash, everything went white, then black. Then I was standing in an alley, the same alley, but it was daytime now. Gray light, silent streets, and in my hands, nothing, no camera, no phone, just cold fingers and confusion. I looked around, heart racing. What the hell just happened? Had it all been a nightmare? Then, I heard footsteps behind me. I turned and froze. A man was standing at the other end of the alley, holding a camera pointed directly at me. His hands shook. His expression was one of horror, like he was seeing something he didn't expect. And then I realized he wasn't looking at me. He was looking through me, like I wasn't there, or maybe like I was something else entirely. The camera touched. Click. And just before the white light consumed everything again, I saw a reflection in the broken alley window beside me. It wasn't my face. It was hers. I woke up gasping. But I wasn't in my bed. Not even close. I was on a park bench. The sky was cloudless. Birds chirped overhead. Children played nearby. Everything was normal, except I didn't remember how I got there, or how long I'd been sitting. My clothes were the same. My shoes still muddy from the alley. But my camera bag was gone. My phone gone. Even my watch. Missing night. I checked my pockets. Nothing, no ID, no wallet, not even my keys. Like I'd been scrubbed clean. A man walking his dog passed by and gave me a strange glance, then a second look. Then he stopped. "Hey," he said slowly. "You all right? You look kind of pale. You need help?" I opened my mouth to respond, but the voice that came out wasn't mine. It was too soft, too hollow, too empty. The man backed away like he'd heard something wrong. Take care, buddy." He tugged on his dog's leash and walked faster. I stumbled toward a nearby storefront window to look at my reflection, and what I saw wasn't me. The face staring back had my eyes, but they were wrong, lifeless. The skin looked waxy, unfinished, like a mannequin halfway made. And then the reflection smiled, but I hadn't moved. I stumbled back, heart racing. I needed help. Answers. I ran, through the streets, into the train station, past faces that didn't even look up. Finally, I found a public phone. I dialed my friend Daniel, the only one I trusted with this kind of madness. It rang and rang then. "Hello?" he answered groggily. "Dan, it's me, Harry. Listen, something's wrong." I think he cut me off. "Harry? Dude, what the hell? You pranking me? What? You died, man. 3 weeks ago." What is this? Some sick AI thing? You can't call me like this." My blood ran ice cold. "What are you talking about?" I whispered. "I'm right here. I'm alive." Click. He hung up. I tried to call back. Nothing. No dial tone. Deadline. I stood there. The phone still pressed to my ear. My reflection in the booth window, staring back with that same crooked smile. And then, without warning, click, a camera flash. From behind me, I spun around. No one there, but my reflection was holding a camera. Now, and it was slowly lifting it again. I ran again. Not because I had a destination, but because I couldn't bear to stand still. Not when the world around me was wrong. Twisted, familiar in shape, but alien in spirit. My reflection had a camera. I didn't. and yet I could feel it, like it still hung around my neck. Like the weight of it had been stitched into me. The streets blurred past in streaks of color and noise. But nobody looked at me. Nobody saw me. It was like I was already a ghost. I ducked into a bathroom at the train station, locked the stall, sat on the lid of the toilet and cried. But the tears never came, only the dry sound of someone pretending to cry. I pulled out my phone, the one I was sure had vanished, and found it resting in my pocket again. But it wasn't mine. The wallpaper was different. The apps were strange. The photo gallery was full of pictures of me, taken from strange angles, sleeping, eating, sitting in my apartment, crossing streets, standing alone. In every photo, she was behind me. Sometimes in mirrors, sometimes in glass, sometimes standing right next to me. She had documented everything, like she was building a library of my life. I opened the front camera. It didn't show me. It showed her looking into the screen, head tilted, smiling gently, and then a voice came from the speaker. Not mine, hers. "You see me now?" The screen went black. I dropped the phone and backed into the stall wall, heart in my throat. From the crack between the door and the wall, saw feet, bare, dash-skinned, standing just outside the stall, waiting. Didn't breathe. I didn't blink. The lights flickered. A sound, not a scream. A shudder. The stall door creaked open on its own, and no one was there. Only a small photo sitting on the floor. I picked it up. It was me, kneeling in this very stall. But in the photo, I wasn't alone. She was behind me, whispering in my ear. I didn't remember leaving the bathroom, but suddenly I was walking down the street again, hands in my pockets, head low, surrounded by strangers. Except, no one looked like strangers anymore. They all looked familiar, faces I couldn't place, shapes that stirred memories, but from dreams, not reality. A woman pushing a stroller with a baby that had my eyes. A man reading a newspaper whose reflection in the window showed her. The world was starting to glitch, not digitally, spiritually. I ducked into a bookstore, the bell above the door jangling like a scream cut short. No one was behind the counter. The aisles were dead quiet. I moved through them like I didn't belong, because I didn't. Every book I pulled from the shelves had a blank cover, until I opened one. Inside, photos, not printed ones, real ones, stuck into the pages, album-style. Every photo was of me doing things I'd never done, standing in rooms I'd never been in, wearing clothes I didn't own. But each photo had one thing in common. My face was the same in every one, expressionless, lifeless, like I was a doll someone had posed for their twisted little project. Then I saw a final page. The photo was fresh, is still damp. It was of me standing in the aisle of this very bookstore, holding this book, and behind me, smiling her. I dropped the book and ran, but the door was gone. The counter was gone. The walls had stretched taller. Farther, I was back in the alley again, like reality had wrapped around me and pulled me home. She stood at the other end, camera in hand, no longer a ghost, no longer hiding, and then she spoke, aloud for the first time. Her voice was flat, cold, but it was mine. "Thank you." Then she raised the camera and I smiled. I didn't mean to. I couldn't stop myself. She clicked the shutter, and I faded just a little more. I woke up in a place that didn't have walls, just fog thick. Endless fog that pulsed like it was breathing. I was standing on nothing, but I didn't fall. My body felt lighter than ever, like it was mostly gone. Like I was just residue, a leftover. I called out. No sound. I tried to move, but the world around me shifted first, like a photo reel being turned by unseen hands. And suddenly, I was in my apartment again. But it wasn't now, it was weeks ago. Before all this began, before I saw her in that first photo, I watched myself, the real Harry, making coffee, checking his camera, leaving the apartment with a smile, and she was there in the corner. Not in shadow, but in the light. Watching. Then the reel turned again. Another scene, Harry at the cafe snapping the photo, smiling at something he couldn't see. And again, she was there, closer, scene after scene. Click after click, I wasn't moving anymore. I was being shown something. Like she was unraveling my life in reverse, taking ownership, wiping me away. Then everything froze. I stood in a white room, empty, silent in the center, a table on it, a single photo, face down. I reached out, even though I didn't want to, even though my fingers barely felt real anymore. I flipped the photo over. It was a picture of her, but not blurry, not in the background. She was full color, alive, smiling, radiating, something awful and cold. And in her eyes, tiny reflections of me, screaming trapped. That's when I realized she wasn't in the photos. She was the photo. A spirit. A parasite. A thing that lived in images, in memories, in reflections, feeding on presence, replacing the original, and now. She had mine. Click. I turned. She was standing right behind me. This time she wasn't holding a camera. I was, and I raised it slowly by force. By her will. And I heard her voice inside my skull whispering, "Your turn." The shutter snapped, and then there was only white. I exist now, somewhere between, not dead, not alive, just caught in the frame. I can't feel the ground. I don't sleep. I don't need to. I'm just here. Watching, waiting, with the camera. Sometimes I see flashes of Harry, the old Harry, buried deep beneath the surface. A memory of laughter, of light, of ordinary days. But they're fading. Like overexposed film. She's inside me now. I feel her behind my eyes, guiding my hands, taking me places I don't recognize. Abandoned basements. Hotel rooms with fogged mirrors. Elevators that never stop moving. Each time I blink, she takes a photo. Not for herself, for the next one. Because that's how it spreads. Through images, through captured souls, through curiosity. The camera she gave me doesn't need batteries, doesn't need memory cards. It just takes and feeds. I try not to look through the viewfinder, because when I do, see them. The others, the ones who came before me. Their faces twisted in agony, locked inside the photos. Frozen, trapped, fractured, and sometimes they scream. But there's no sound, only silence, and the click of the shutter. Click. Another photo. Another piece of someone's life stolen. I don't know how long I've been doing this. Time doesn't work the same anymore. But she whispers to me sometimes, tells me whose turn it is. It's next. And I find them, and I take the picture. Because if I don't, she'll let me remember. She'll peel back the illusion, and I'll see what's really left of me, eh? Hollow frame with her smile. It's always the same in the beginning, eh? Curious glance, a shutter click, a strange figure in the background. They always notice her eventually, the pale face in a window, the blurred figure behind glass, the soft outline on a reflective surface. That's how she picks them. She shows herself just enough for doubt to become obsession. And once they see her, you can't unsee her. That's how it started with me. And now, it's happening again. I stood across the street from a small bookstore tonight, the same one I stumbled into when everything began. But now it looked different. Renovated. Alive. Inside. A boy, maybe 19, was browsing alone. He had a camera slung around his neck. New, still clean, still hopeful. He reminded me of myself. I lifted my own camera, the cursed one. The one that hums in my hands like it has a heartbeat. I pointed it at the glass window. Click, he flinched. Looked around. Felt it. He felt her. I saw it in his eyes. The seed had been planted, the connection made. She was behind him now, I could see her, just barely. The reflection of the bookstore's glass door. A faint silhouette watching, waiting. I lowered the camera slowly, because I knew what came next. She would follow, him appear in his photos, whisper in his dreams, erase his memories. One by one. Until he was like me. Empty, borrowed, burnt into film. and me. My job would be done. The curse would pass. Like a torch made of shadows, one frame at a time. I turned from the window and walked into the fog, and for the first time in what felt like years, I didn't feel her behind me, because now she was with him. His name was Liam, a college photography student. Curious, bright, the kind of person who noticed the world's quiet corners. He believed that cameras told the truth, that a picture could never lie. He was wrong. It started innocently, a class assignment to photograph hidden beauty. Liam wandered the city with his new Nikon, looking for unusual angles, forgotten textures, unnoticed moments. That's when he found the photo. It was lying in the gutter near a bookstore, soaked, crumpled, stained, but something about it caught his eye. He picked it up, wiped it off, and there. She was pale, watching half-lit by a flash. No context. Just a woman frozen in time. It gave him chills, but also, strangely, inspiration. He pocketed it, and everything changed. That night, his camera started licking, snapping photos on its own. Random shots while it was still around his neck, or sitting idle on the table. Each time he checked the screen, he swore something had shifted. A blur in the background, a smudge in the mirror, face in the glass. He chalked it up to hardware problems, until one photo, taken while he slept, showed a woman standing at the foot of his bed. Looking straight into the lens, Liam grew obsessed. He scanned the original gutter photo, ran it through enhancement tools, tossed around campus. Showed it to his professor, who said the woman gave him a bad feeling. But no one knew who she was. He started seeing her everywhere. In reflections, in other people's selfies, in security, camera feeds, and always only visible to him. That's when he received the text. Unknown number. One sentence. She's yours now. No sender. No reply option. Just those 3 words. Liam didn't sleep that night, didn't even turn off the lights. He deleted the photo from his phone, burned the physical copy, but it kept coming back. Glitched into his gallery, burned into his dreams, etched in the glass. Of every screen he passed, and one night just past 3:03 a.m., his camera turned on by itself, click flash, and from that moment on, he wasn't alone anymore. Liam stopped going to class. He stopped going anywhere, really. His apartment became a bunker, curtains drawn, mirrors covered. Screens unplugged, but none of it mattered. She was always there, waiting, watching. One night, desperate, he smashed. The camera shattered it into pieces. But when he woke the next morning, it sat on his desk again. Perfect. Polished, like it had never been touched. And this time, it was warm, like a living thing. He reached out to an online forum, a dark corner of the internet for photographers who'd seen things. He posted anonymously, "Has anyone ever seen the same figure appear in multiple unrelated photos? Same woman, same stare. I never took her picture. She just shows up." One replied from a user named Framed Ghosts, "She's not in the photos. She is the photo." Then another message followed immediately after, "Run." Liam shut his laptop, but it turned back on. All by itself. The screen flickered, and then his webcam light clicked on. He hadn't opened the camera app, but the lens was watching, recording. He slammed the lid shut and stood, panic rushing through his veins. That's when he saw her, in the microwave door's reflection. Not clearly, not yet, but her outline. Her black eyes, closer than before. Every reflective surface became a window to her world. The faucet, the TV, screen, even his pupils in the mirror. She was in all of them, creeping. Closer, frame by frame. Liam didn't scream. He couldn't. His voice had become hollow, a thing she had taken. Instead, began documenting everything. He wrote his story in a journal, attached screenshots, left printed warnings on subway, whilst hoping to pass the truth on before she fully merged. But deep down, he knew it was too late, because when he checked the last photo the camera took, he wasn't in it. She was, wearing his face. Liam hadn't left a trace. His apartment was still full of things, camera gear, notebooks, open laptop, but none of them pointed to him. No ID, no emails, sent no records of existence. The landlord called the police after a week. They found the place empty, but strange, unsettling. Every mirror was covered. Every screen blacked out. Photos on the walls had no faces, just blank silhouettes where people should have been. But the oddest thing, a camera sitting on the floor, perfect condition, battery full, and a single undeveloped roll inside. The officer tagged it and took it back to the station. 3 days later, he'd quit the force. No explanation. When asked why, he only said one thing. I saw myself. Watching myself. Somewhere else, someone else finds the roll of film. Curiosity. Always curiosity. They develop it, scan it, post a few online, looking for answers. The thread reads, "We found these weird old photos, all of different people, except one thing. Every image, this woman is standing in the background. Pale skin, black eyes. Does anyone know who she is? Most say it's an ARG. A prank, an AI trick. But one reply stands out. Posted from an account that was deleted seconds later. She's already inside the lens. You're not seeing her. She's seeing you. And somewhere, far from all of them, a photo is taken. Another click, another flash, another piece of someone. Gone because Liam. He's not Liam anymore. He's the one behind the camera, just like Harry before him. Empty, used feeding. Because this curse doesn't end. It transfers, and the next name on the list is already reaching for the shutter. A girl named Ava finds the camera at a flea market. Old, dusty, leather strap frayed. The vendor says it showed up on his table one morning. No price tag, she buys it anyway. She's a photography student. Just like Liam was. Just like Harry was before him. Because the camera knows who to choose. Back at home, she examines it. Feels the strange pull in her fingers. It doesn't need charging. It doesn't need film. It just works. She takes a test shot of her window. The photo appears instantly on her phone, though she never connected the two. And there she is. That woman, far away. Barely visible, standing in the fog outside. Looking up, Ava frowns, zooms in her heart. Skips. She hadn't seen anyone there when she took the photo, but now, that same woman shows up in every picture. In reflections, in shadows, in glass. Ava posts a few online, asks friends if it's a glitch, or maybe an old watermark, no one knows. But one message appears in her inbox that night. No sender, just a sentence. You're the next frame. She deletes it, blocks it, laughs it off, until the dreams start. Flash shutter, whispers, click then. She starts seeing her while awake, out the corner of her eye. In bus windows, rear view mirrors, storefront glass, and one night 3:03 a.m. The camera turns on by itself, the shutter snaps, and Ava's reflection doesn't blink because it isn't her anymore. It's smiling with her eyes. Somewhere, it's far away, a man wakes up screaming. He doesn't know why, but he'll find a camera tomorrow. He'll pick it up, and the cycle will begin again. Click another one chosen. Another life. Framed forever.